I will be spending 5 days in one of the cheapest countries in Europe, Poland. While doing so, I will track all the money I spend on the whole trip, so you know exactly how much everything costs. It all started back home, where I showed my bag and all my travel accessories. And yes, all these things fits in the bag. I'm somewhat of a master packer. No. And yes, just to prepare, I take the plastic bag now for all my liquids. And here I am, doing an airport hack, I think. So you can't take water from home, but I just bring this little plastic bottle, and then you can fill it up in Arlanda in Sweden with water. So that's really nice if you don't want to buy it for like €4 water or something like. But then we jumped on our Ryanair flight that will take 2 hours to Poznań in Poland, and it costs like €20. Really cheap if you go from Sweden, but I think it's cheap if you go from anywhere in Europe. Before we knew it, we landed, and everyone always stands up to quickly get out. But you still have to wait like 10 minutes, so I don't know why people haven't figured that out yet. It's always so weird. It's every flight. With the bus we got to Poznań Central.
Dagen vill jag ska hänga med imorgon, han ska åka på någon jävla kurs och jag orkar inte. Vi har kommit i alla fall till Poznań i centralen här.
And then started walking like 20 minutes to our Airbnb. I was actually nervous walking around like 11 at night because I've heard rumors about Eastern Europe. I even asked the guy that had the Airbnb about Poznań being dangerous, but he just got mad and said it's a lot safer than Western countries, which is true. Poland is actually much more safer than Sweden. While walking there, I realized it's just propaganda that Poland is dangerous or Eastern Europe is dangerous. I mean, the Western countries have done this throughout history. It's dangerous in the East, bro. I mean, right now, Russia may be a bit dangerous. Eventually, we got to the Airbnb where I was gonna stay for the next days. It cost around €200 for 5 nights. That's actually crazy. And it was actually so nice in there. My friend Daniel, he went with me on this trip, but he left really early the next morning because he was gonna do a cinematography course.
Okej, ha det bra man. Tjing tjong.
Okay, nu är jag helt själv här. But I went back to bed and waked up some hours later, and yeah, I heard you can drink the tap water in Poland. Yeah, and I tried it. Tasted a little funky, but I didn't get sick, so well, I don't know. After that, I went out and looked around. I had booked an Airbnb really close to Old Town. Some buildings there were still under renovation and it looked like this, but the area was so cool with just this church at our doorstep. Now it was time for some exploring. So I took the map I got the day before and started walking around Old Town. It was amazing. So many old and preserved buildings. Is this Poland, I thought? Forgive my ignorance. Before coming here, I didn't have any expectations, except one negative one, you know, that it was dangerous. So I just was so amazed that it was so nice, you know? The more I walked around, the more I needed food. But I was a little scared because I had to eat alone. Something I'm not really comfortable. Something I'm not comfortable with. You understand? I'm fucking scared I can't eat alone and I'm gonna shit my pants. That's what's gonna happen. But still, I went into the local restaurant and got a Polish version of Coke and like duck dumplings. The waiter said that that was real Polish food. So I was like, oh, okay. It was alright, but I felt like I had to eat it all. No disrespecting Poland here, you know. Eat up your food, man. Okay, sorry. I did some more exploring and then I needed to find a grocery store. And when I looked on Google Maps, I didn't find any. I was like, the only thing I found was Sabga. I only saw Sabga everywhere. And it's like a 7-Eleven or something. I was like, where are the grocery stores? I looked until it started to get dark. And then I just gave up and went into the Sabga. And bought some things. I eventually headed back to my newfound home.
Nej, verkligen inget bra väder här eller? Kan jag inte gå ut och se solnedgången på det här? Whatever. Stanna inne och käka godis istället.
Yeah, I ate some good, microwave pizza and some chocolate and yeah, different things from Sabka. The things from Sabka was actually pretty cheap. Do I say it right? Sabka? And did some training. Meanwhile, Danny was out filming cars. Look at this stuff, man. Day 2 on my Polish adventure. So Poland, as many of you know, was hit hard under the Second World War. The tragic and weirdly famous place Auschwitz is one of the most famous in all of Poland. And it's a little weird that is one of the most famous places. So this day I decided to walk to one of the 14 forts the German used while controlling Poznań, the city we were in. They were strategically located around the city as a safety net. But when the German got control of them, it became a fence. On the way there I walked through some old buildings and this park that had some tanks in it. I actually met a guy there that asked me if I could take a photo of him with the tanks. So that was pretty cool. He was also solo traveling. I should have asked him if he wanted to have dinner with me, but I chickened out last second. Well, back to the serious stuff. I found these graves of fallen soldiers there in the park, which was beautiful to see them honor the people trying to defend their homeland. The Nazis, the sick bastards, they also used these forts as concentration camps, which created a sick feeling while I was walking through there. Even though most of the fort was taken over by nature, you could still feel that a lot of things have happened here. And when I saw these walls, I realized how big it was. And you can't really see it from the outside, you have to go really close in the park to see it. I walked around for hours, but eventually I had to get back to get some dinner. By the way, this was insane. I ordered these kind of crepe looking things and bought 2 of them. 2 big meals for like 10 euros. That's so cheap. I don't know about you, but a lunch out here in Sweden is like 12 euros. And dinner? Polish food is honestly really cheap. If you don't want to spend much money but go on a vacation, you should come to Poland. The next day I just calculated how much everything cost and try not to spend more than 20 euros for the day. I failed though because I bought this aloe vera drink for 7 euros, but I thought it was 2, so I felt a bit scammed. While exploring some more of Poznań, I saw this Bible box, a lot of padlocks on this bridge. That's a lot of love. And this cool church.
Jag kanske kan leva på det här. Så lite kalorier i den här förresten.
Also, everywhere I looked, there were abandoned buildings. Later that evening, I went to the store to find some cheap snacks. I even thought about buying some McDonald's.
Den var sjukt god alltså. Den var jättejävla god.
Also, look at the difference in chocolate prices here. A Twix is 6 euro, and more Polish brands are like 2 or 3 euros. And honestly, they just taste better. Buy the Polish brands if you're ever in Poland. Like, seriously, why buy Twix if you're in Poland? Later that evening, Daniel came back from his adventure, filming cars. And I told him all about the weird looks I got with my hat, and I was probably overthinking it. But one thing I realized was that most Polish people didn't want to speak English, which made me feel really alienated. So I was happy Daniel was back. In day 4 it was time to get to the capital, Warsaw. So we got ready to take this 3-hour train, and there were no reserved seats and the train was full, so we had to stand all the way. It was a long journey, but apparently it was normal to stand because we weren't the only ones doing it. Eventually we arrived in the rain with no plan, but decided to walk through town to a schnitzel place. Why schnitzel? On the way we saw the Palace of Culture and Science, which was gifted by Lenin, the Russian leader, to the Polish people. The buildings in Warsaw was relatively new, because under the Second World War 80% of all of Warsaw was destroyed. That's just fucking crazy, man. That wasn't even 100 years ago, that's like 8 years ago. So they had to rebuild. I couldn't even imagine having your home destroyed like that again and again. But I felt like the wars had made the Polish people strong. They take no shit. In the hunt for schnitzel, the Polish guy came up to us.
O, Western kurwa!
Va?
Samaj tu.
No. All good.
Western Kurva, he called us. I didn't film it, but when I turned around, he almost kicked me. I don't know what he was trying to do, calling us Western cunts or something. It was pretty funny. Eventually walking for like 1 hour in the rain.
Ja, det är fan... Du får se lite Daniel Parkour här. Daniel Parkour. Får inte smutsa ner skorna. Men hörru, är vi framme snart eller?
We got to the schnitzel place. It was pretty good. It was really expensive though. The Germans... Schnitzel. Yeah, after that, it got dark and it started raining a lot more. In the rain we took an Uber and I tried to talk to the guy in the Uber, but with no luck, he didn't want to talk to me. And it cost like 4 euros for that taxi drive to a museum that was closed. Instead we started walking like through Warsaw in the rain. We got super soaked, but it was such a vibe. Honestly, it felt like we were in a dystopian movie.
En av de största grejerna här i Polen är att det regnar så förbaskat mycket. Det är som att så här, när vi går här och det är massa pölar på marken, då förstår inte vi hur vi ska gå. För våra skor blir helt dyngsura. Men då följer vi efter folk och bara så här, okej, de vet. För de har det här typ varannan dag. Det är helt sjukt. Det är helt sjukt. Då kommer vi här. Vi droppar.
On the way back, we sat in a wagon with 4 other people and I fell asleep. Our plane back home was in the middle of the day the next day. But before that we had some dumplings again, or like the Polish version of dumplings. We used to summarize everything, the whole days in Poland with all the transportation, the Airbnb, the food. It cost me around 387 euros, or like 397 US dollars. So yeah, if you want to get your money's worth, go to Poland. I decided to put out my New Zealand video the 4th of March instead, because it's such an important video for me. I want to do it right, I want to do it good. So instead next week I will camp in the Swedish forest.